is started. And
Live?
we are
We're
live.
live. Welcome to another episode of the Point by Point Tennis Podcast. We're your hosts, Carlos and Jishnu. And on today's show, it is the first Masters 1000 for Yannick Sinner. We have been predicting him to win a
Yeah.
Masters 1000 from the beginning of the year. It finally happened. And I think it's a very well deserved win for Yannick Sinner. And also on today's show, we're going to be covering the big win for Jessica Pegula,
Yeah.
um, which was marred with a little bit of controversy, unfortunately. I think the weather and scheduling kind of derailed the great result that she had. But before that final, she did beat Iga Swiatek, and I think that is a big step for her. So great result for Pegula, great result for Yannick Sinner, and we are also going to be covering on this show the draw of another Masters 1000 event that is happening this week right now, and it is in Cincinnati. It is the Western and Southern Open. It is the last Masters 1000 event prior to the U.S. Open, and as you can see from my picture, we have the defending champions Borna Coric and Caroline Garcia. Um, Garcia is already on the court right now. Federer certainly is not on the court, but he is in our hearts. Jish has a very nice picture of Federer getting ready with that forehand.
Yeah.
So, is this in Cincinnati actually for this
It
picture? Is
is.
this
It
from Cincinnati?
actually it says U.S. Open Series.
Ooh,
It doesn't have the
nice.
full. Yeah. It is in Cincinnati.
Awesome. So very much on brand. And Borna Troyes has also have won his match so far in this tournament. So we're going to be covering all of that. We're going to be talking about the draws, who landed where, and also talk about the fact that Djokovic has returned to these events.
The United
So
States.
to the United States
Yeah.
for the first time. Yeah, he took a break in Canada, so he sat down that tournament, but he is back here in Cincinnati, and we're gonna jump into that discussion as well. So without further ado, let's talk about the results in Canada, and let's start with Yannick Sinner. Jish, what did you think about the big win for Yannick Sinner?
Yeah. I mean, I think this was a long time coming. It's finally here. He deserves it, especially with how the draw played out for him. It might have been a little bit easier than um, expected, but he still pulled it out. It's to follow through. Winning all of these matches. They're not easy matches either. Could have been tricky, but he
Yeah,
did a good job handling the pressure, I think.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and he's playing great tennis. I saw a bit of the Monfils Sinner match. That was pretty impressive. He did have a walkover, or like a withdrawal for Andy Murray
hmm
in that second match that he was supposed to play. But I mean, you got to give him credit for taking out Monfils, which he was looking pretty good in that match too. As well as Berrettini in the first round, he took care of that pretty well. And Tommy Paul in the semifinals, he was looking, in form. After beating Alcaraz, it could have been a pretty big challenge, but he took care of things there too. So um, overall, very impressed and well deserved. I think his team has, he has, is it Darren Cahill in his camp now?
is it
And
KL? Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and I think that's making a bit of a difference. Yeah, Darren was supposed to be, I guess, coaching Halep, and Halep is no longer right now, able to play because of the whole um, doping scandal. But yeah, I guess that freed him up to coach Sinner, which I think is a sort of blessing for Sinner because I think he's doing real well right now. So um, yeah, I'm excited for him to do something big in the Grand Slam. I'm glad he passed this Masters 1000 test, though he didn't have to play like anyone really substantial um, in this tournament. But yeah, proud of him. Yeah, great job.
yeah.
I've been picking him
Yeah.
for a long time, and finally it came.
I mean, I have been picking him too. You more than me, but
Yeah,
I've certainly remember a few tournaments that I've picked him to win the title,
yeah,
and he's not been able to do it. But honestly, he's he's doing much better than this is his best year, right?
yeah.
I think this is not overdue, really. Maybe in most people's minds it was because he's been, hyped up a lot and
Mm-hmm.
for with good reason. But maybe some people are getting a little tired of the hype and wanted results right away. But let's remember, he's 21 years old. I mean,
Yeah,
he's a very young guy. I mean,
that's true.
the guy who's in your background picture right now was not even winning at that time, right? He
Yeah.
was really be getting into that position right at, 22, 23, 24. Though
Mm-hmm.
that range is where Roger really became the player that we know him to be. And he's one of the greatest players of all time now. So there's no reason for us to
Yeah.
think that everybody's going to be like Alcaraz. Nobody like not everybody develops as fast, right? We saw Nadal develop faster than Federer in terms of at the age of when,
Mm-hmm.
he became successful, and they both have very comparable careers. I mean, you can argue that Federer had a better career than Nadal, right? There's an
Mm-hmm.
argument for that. Saying vice versa. So I think it doesn't matter the rate of improvement as long as you continue to improve. And Sinner has done that, right? And I think that's the thing that I'm really impressed with. I think Sinner, he's had trouble in the biggest matches against the best players. Um, and honestly, he set the tone in this tournament with that first round win against, or I guess second round because he had a bye. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but that second round win against Berrettini was incredibly impressive to me because for me, honestly, he Berrettini, he had a lot of momentum from his Wimbledon run, and he played fantastic, beating Zverev in that tournament, and took a set out of Alcaraz before losing to him in four sets. But he showed a level that it looked like the old Berrettini, and that could have been trouble for Sinner.
It could have been. Yeah.
And he beat him pretty convincingly, honestly. And from there, Sinner just continued to win pretty easily most of his matches. I know his match with Monfils was probably the best match of all.
Yeah.
Um, I saw that match from start to finish, and I was so impressed with the level of Monfils. I mean, let's not
Yeah.
let's not forget what he did in this tournament. He beat Tsitsipas in the second round, which was a huge win. I mean, he beat Eubanks in the first round, who was coming with a bunch of momentum. Um, and then he actually beat Vukic, who was playing well as well. He played the final, I want to say, in
Mm.
one of the earlier tournaments. I think it was in Atlanta, um, against Taylor Fritz. So he was also coming in with some form, and he came into that match with Sinner, and he actually played very well. He took a set from Sinner, um, and it was just fantastic shot making from both guys. But honestly, all in all, Sinner just looked like the best player in this tournament. I want to right now give a shout out to my dad, who was telling me from day one that Sinner was going to win this tournament
Really?
because of the level that he was showing.
Nice
Um,
job.
and I was convinced that Alcaraz was going to raise his level. But he unfortunately Alcaraz just couldn't find his level really. He started playing bad in the beginning of the tournament, but we've seen him do that before. We saw Alcaraz play pretty poorly in Madrid to open the tournament, and he ended up lifting the trophy.
Mm-hmm.
So I was expecting something similar, but in the end, he couldn't find his best level, and Sinner was just on fire from the beginning. So he was able
He's
to
hitting big.
to yeah, he was
Yeah.
able to just he beat everybody who was in front of him they should have
Mm-hmm.
beat, and he beat him convincingly.
Yeah.
So I think great job from Sinner. I actually had him facing in my bracket Tsitsipas in the quarterfinals and beating him, and
Mm-hmm.
I had him losing to Alcaraz, but not really surprised if he would have won that. And I think even though he didn't get to do all those things, I think he was ready to do it with the level that he
Mm-hmm.
had. Um, and honestly, with the level that he played this tournament, I think he would have beaten Alcaraz pretty easily. The way that Alcaraz was playing
Mm-hmm. Oh,
in this
yeah.
tournament.
He was
So
a little frustrated, Alcaraz.
yeah,
He was-
so I honestly think that Sinner like very deserving of this title,
Mhm.
despite the fact that he didn't really face like. people will probably criticize that he didn't really face that much of competition. But I think, I mean, he's been showing the results,
Yeah.
and this is going to be a confidence boost for him. It doesn't matter that he didn't beat whoever he didn't beat, right? He won this tournament
Yeah.
now. He won the Masters 1000, and now he has that belief that he can win big titles.
Mm-hmm.
He's been there a few times, right? He's been to the final two times this year, and the first one he lost um, to Medvedev in Miami, and then, a few years ago he went to the final against Hurkacz in Miami, lost that one as well. So this is his first time of asking in total, and second time this year, and he finally got it done. And I think that's great for him. He got pretty close also in Monte Carlo where he lost to Rune in the semis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so he's been knocking on the door in these bigger events, and who knows what would have happened if he would have won that U.S. Open last year, that match
That
against
match. Yeah, he
Alcaraz,
could have won the
where
whole
he had a
thing.
match point in that match.
Yeah, he could have won the whole thing, right?
Yeah, who knows if he ends up winning that trophy?
We would be
So
talking about him this whole time versus
yeah,
Alcaraz.
exactly.
Yeah,
Or at the very
at
least, the
least
both of them in
equally.
the same
Yeah,
breath.
yeah,
So it would have changed a lot of things, right? So I think Sinner just showed the level that he's capable of. I'm not surprised that he won this title. And honestly, I think this puts him in the conversation of one of the favorites for the US Open. I
mm,
know some people will think that he's not ready for that or whatever it is. Some people will have the match against Djokovic in their minds, right, from Wimbledon. But I think this is different. I
the
think
hard
Sinner
courts I
is,
think is gonna be a little different.
yeah, I think it's a little bit better favorable match for
Mm-hmm.
Sinner on the hard courts against Djokovic or against anybody for that matter, probably except Medvedev. But even Medvedev, I think he can figure him out. I think he already showed a few things in that final against Diminar,
Mm-hmm.
with a little bit of drop shots and variety that he really needs to be able to break that really bad record against Medvedev.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see anything in his tennis that's stopping him from being able to figure that matchup out. I think it's worse for Medvedev against Alcaraz. Like I see no
Yeah.
way of him overcoming that unless he changes something. Um,
I,
so
yeah, it'll just be interesting to see where they end up in the draw for the
yeah,
U.S. Open because that's gonna be like,
it will. And it's interesting because I mean we're gonna go into the draw later in
yeah.
Cincinnati, but Sinner has a pretty bad draw. I don't know if you've seen like how bad it is, but like he's in a bad, like he is with Djokovic and with Medvedev on the same side, and I think he would have to be both if seeds hold. So that
Beautiful.
would that will be interesting for him as a test, to see if he can actually overcome those bad matchups, right, for him. But all in all, tremendous tournament by Sinner. I'm super impressed. And I think this is what we've seen from him. Like we knew that this was just a matter of time
Yeah.
for him. So I'm excited, and I hope he can keep this momentum.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Any
pumped for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anything you want to add from the men's side of the draw? I guess we should talk a little bit of Alcaraz. Did you happen to catch highlights or some of that from Alcaraz that you want to point out?
Um. Yeah. I saw some frustration in his game that I haven't seen in a while. Um, and that was interesting. To see that.
Yeah,
Um.
he didn't look very happy out there,
Yeah.
huh?
He was not. He was throwing his racket. I mean, he wasn't playing like. I mean, he wasn't playing well against Paul. I think that was just. Um. Yeah, and that he. Yeah, I don't have too much to say. I mean, I think he's just a little off. I think he just needs some practice, and he'll get back into it. But um, there are times where I see Alcaraz, and he kind of just like deflates, and I saw a little bit of that, and I don't actually. I don't like to see that, but it does happen, and I think that's something that it's maybe a more mental side of his game that
Yeah,
needs to change. It obviously he has all the shots, but it's like how can I reset really in the middle of the game? And he's done it many times, but when it's too much, I think when he like gets frustrated and gets out of control, um, he's he's got to work on that, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
What are
agree.
your
I think
thoughts?
yeah, I feel the same in certain senses because like sometimes the game can really go off the rails and he's trying to be spectacular. He's trying to like have fun out there, right? And he's
Mm-hmm.
just not finding his shots.
Yeah.
I think he's I think this kind of tournament for top players like him, it's more of feel out and see where how can I push myself and what levels can I push myself and I
Mm.
think Canada for him was about that. Like he probably could have played a more intelligent match against both Herkats and Tommy
Tommy
Paul
Paul. Yeah.
in those two rounds that he played pretty poorly. He could have probably played more intelligently to win those by grinding it out,
Mm-hmm.
playing a little bit of passive, a little bit more passive and more intelligent tennis. But at the same time, I don't think he wants to do that. And
So
sometimes
you think he's experimenting a little in these tournaments?
I don't think he's experimenting in this one. I think it was more of his DNA is to go 100 miles an hour all the
I
time,
see.
right?
Mm.
And he wants to do that. He wants to win spectacularly, right? Um, I mean, the way he
Yeah.
won Madrid against Nadal and Djokovic, like he wasn't playing passive tennis.
Right.
He was going for all of his shots, and he was just landing them. It was just insane, right? He was trying to do that here in Toronto, and it was
Yeah.
not working. And he tried actually to do that in the first set against Djokovic in Wimbledon. It's not working. And he had to revert to like a little bit more defensive, a little bit more passive,
Mm-hmm.
and just picking his shots more intelligently. And I don't think he was willing to do that in this tournament. He just wanted to find that like top level, in terms of offensive shot making, and
Mm-hmm.
he just couldn't find it at all, right? He got ahead against Hurkacz 2 breaks to serve for the match
Mm.
in that third set in the previous round that he lost, and he lost 2 breaks, and he almost lost the match just because he was trying to do like, you know, trick shots and like, trying to be too cute with the with his shot making. So you can tell that he was just trying to be spectacular, and he was
Mm-hmm.
failing to do that. Um, and I think that's fine as long as he doesn't bring it to the U.S. Open, right? And in Cincinnati, as long as he improves, and he needs some of that spectacular shot making to beat guys like Djokovic and Sinner, right? When
Yeah.
they're on. So I think it's fine that he's trying to find that. Um, how many times have we seen Djokovic just lose? It looked like crap, really,
Yeah.
in
And then
the
come
Masters
back.
events, and then just go on and win the Grand Slams like nothing, right? But it's
Yeah.
because of that, right? They're just fine tuning, peaking for the big moments, and I think maybe that's what's happening with
Yeah.
Alcaraz. So I'm not too worried, honestly.
Yeah.
Um,
I also would echo that. I mean, and I hope these players peak at the right time. Same with Alcaraz and Sinner. Um, yeah. I just hope this wasn't the peak for Sinner. We'll see.
no, I think for Sinner, honestly, it was more important for him to get this win because I
Yeah.
I think having a Masters 1000 under his belt and winning a tournament that okay, he didn't beat the best players, but he got to the semifinal lineup, and I actually texted you, he better win this tournament now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember? And it's important for his mental,
Mental.
for his
Yeah.
yeah, for his mentality that I was the favorite to win this title,
Mm-hmm.
and he actually
Follow through.
dominated,
Yeah.
right? He dominated to win it, and that was important for him. He needed to show himself that he can do that. Um, so now he can translate that to the U.S. Open, as long as he doesn't like overshoot it in Cincinnati. I think it should be fine. But we've seen Nadal win the entire thing, like the entire U.S. Open swing. I'm pretty sure Djokovic and Federer has also. Don't quote me on this. I think they both done it as well. They certainly have won that both tournaments
Mm-hmm.
and the U.S. Open. So um, we've seen it before. It could happen. Yeah, who knows? But I think this winning one of these two events was
Was great.
important for
Yeah.
Sinner. It just gives him a little bit more belief going into the U.S. Open, I think. So for Alcaraz, I mean, we saw last year he didn't win neither of these tournaments, right? And he won the U.S. Open. So less important in my head for Alcaraz to really win any of these two. Um, Looks like he has a Tommy Paul problem, honestly, in Canada. He lost to him last year in this same
Yeah.
event. in an earlier round.
That's right.
Um, but I think Tommy Paul, like he's kind of
He's
like a poor
solid.
man's center. Like he takes the ball very early,
Yeah.
and he has some power of both on both wings, can serve pretty well. So I think he poses the same problems that poses for Alcaraz.
Mm.
And I saw that in that match. I think at some point actually, so Alcaraz in the first set was playing terrible, but in the second and especially the third set, I thought Alcaraz's level was getting close to, to very, I would say like 85% to his best level. And Tommy Paul just actually he answered. He answered the
Mm-hmm.
bell. He played well,
Yeah.
and he absolutely won that third set. Alcaraz definitely lost that first set. Like it was mostly about his unforced errors, playing poorly, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But the third set was to me was much more about Tommy Paul taking that. Um, so I think Tommy Paul deserves some credit for that win too. And yeah, he's an interesting guy. I think Tommy Paul is somebody that
Solid.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's super solid, and I love his game. Like he's just like takes the ball so early, and is really intelligent on the court as well. Like I like the way he plays. Um, so great to see him having a great tournament. And how about the finalists? We haven't even talked about the finalists.
Yeah. Yeah.
How Diminar? What do you think
He
about him?
he he's been impressive too. I think he has um he's really this year he's really proven himself. I think his game we saw some of his grass court tennis and I thought it was phenomenal. I was very impressed in how he
Yeah,
played in the grass. He was coming in, he was volleying great, his point construction was on point. Um, and I see that here too on the hard courts. I mean, not as much obviously coming in, but I did feel like he was coming at the right times. And he's a fast player. I mean, or he moves very very well. So,
yeah.
um, I think he did great. I think until the final, and I think he might have a center problem.
I think he does.
And he does, and they were actually playing doubles together in this tournament, which is ironic because they didn't do well in doubles, but ended up in the finals. So I guess it really worked out.
Yeah, that's pretty
So
crazy.
it's so cool. But I mean, I was just impressed how he took care of Taylor Fritz. 6-1 in that final set, and then as well as he took out Medvedev, which not easy task on a hard court, right?
That is a big one.
That's a huge win for him, and yeah, I'm excited. And he looks really motivated whenever he's talking about his game. He's excited and he's like playing well. So
He's not very old either. He's like
no, he's
24
not.
years old or
Yeah,
something like that, right? 23, 24. So,
right. I think they were. Yeah, there's some comments in the when people during the live broadcast, the commentators were talking about how like he was playing Alcaraz and Sinner in the next gen finals, right? So
hmm
yeah, he's also young, but it seems like these players have been on the tour for a long time because they started so early. So
yeah,
yeah,
no, I
but
agree.
great.
I think Deminar really showed us that, the level that he's shown in some tournaments this year and
Mm-hmm.
all that, it's for real. Like
Oh yeah,
this is the new Deminar.
it's a new normal for
He's
him. Yeah,
yeah, it's a new normal. He's better
yeah.
than most people expected, honestly. Um, he seems a little bit of
He's changed his game style. It's sort of
yeah.
like how um no one was talking about like Caroline Garcia, but she kind of broke through. Like her level picked up last year, right?
hmm
I just feel like Deminar, everything about his game has gotten better,
Yeah.
and it's translated really well.
He's also trying to use a little bit more pace in his shots. And he's always been known for his speed.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
Yeah.
probably the fastest player on tour. Like
Oh
he
yeah.
can get to any ball. Um, but he does play a lot of percentage tennis, not really like not a
Mm-hmm.
ton of winners. I think he ended up like with
He
a
changed that.
handful of winners in the
Yeah.
final against Sinner. But he's really changed that for the most part, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to see that he's trying to just add a little bit more elements to his game. And like you said, he had a terrific grass season. He won, or not won, but he got to the final of Queens,
Mm-hmm.
where he lost to Alcaraz in the final. But great showing there as well.
Yeah.
And now we see it here in a Masters 1000 level. So that's great for him. And really, that win against Medvedev is the big one for me. Like that's a eye-catching win, right? Because if he can beat Medvedev, that's who's one of
Right.
the best hardcourt players. He's been having one of the best hardcourt seasons this year, right? Because if you take out the Australian Open swing, he won like five titles, or he won three titles in a row and five titles in like in no, four titles in 5 weeks, in the hardcourt season right before the
Mm.
clay. So, and he got to the final of the event that he didn't win, right? So that was a that's telling you that Medvedev's level's there at the hard courts,
Yeah.
and for Diminar to beat him, that's super impressive. So yeah, we'll see how Medvedev is actually playing here in Cincinnati. We'll see if he's just dipped a little bit, but for me that was an impressive win. So yeah, Diminar is looking like somebody to look for moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for him. I hope he like gets to qualify for the year-end championship.
Yeah, it's gonna be close.
Yeah.
He's like right. I think now he's like 10th in the race or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. His ranking is like 12 or 13, so he's close. He's gonna be close there. He plays a lot too, so he might just rack up enough points
Yeah.
by virtue of just playing so much. Kind of like Ferrer back in the day. Okay, so
Yep.
do we want to move on to the women's?
Yeah. Any other final thoughts on the men's here?
Uh, I don't have anything too pressing for me.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
Let's move on to the
Let's
women's.
move
All
on to the
right.
women's.
This was in Montreal, so that one was in Toronto this year. Now we're in Montreal.
Yes, that is true. This is the one Masters 1000 event that has the events actually happen in different cities. Um, so yeah, and on the women's side, it was Jessica Pegula who won the who won the event. So how about that?
Yeah.
What do you
There's
think
an
about Jessica
asterisk.
Pegula?
I think there's an asterisk on this one.
There is an asterisk. Do you want to talk about the asterisk first?
Well, let's talk about Pagula's game because I think she is worthy. I mean, she didn't do anything that led to the asterisk herself, but
Yeah,
she did play some outstanding tennis. She ended up beating two really big players. I think Coco Golf and her win over Iga Swiatek was really big. So
yeah,
those I think this was sort of like a breakthrough moment for her. I think just to get that win over Iga on a hard court and
absolutely.
yeah, believe in herself that she can win all of these matches. Get through the whole tournament. But no, she's been playing really well. I think there's nothing like crazy about her game that screams out to you that okay, she's like, she's gonna beat the other opponent like with a particular shot. It's when she's on, she's playing smart tennis, which I like to see on the court. And yeah, I think she had a great tournament. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's an asterisk in the final, I would say, but
Yeah.
the fact that she beat Iga
Mm-hmm.
to me sort of negates that asterisk, honestly.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
she beat the best player in the world in a big event,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that is title worthy
Mm-hmm.
level right there. It's too bad that Samsonova was just not only one time but twice had to play two matches in one day. I mean, come on,
No,
that's just
I think
that's just
yeah.
uh, that's just ridiculous. You can't have that happen. I understand that there's like the rain happening and there's
This
very
is a
little you can
master,
do, but
especially a Masters 1000 event, right?
yeah,
I mean, I would be okay if it was like a smaller tournament, but
right.
this is like $1 million versus, or actually for these are not the same, right? Uh,
True.
prize money. Yeah, but it's a
But it
lot of
is a
money.
combined event,
Yeah,
so
yeah. It's a big amount of money and a number of points too, right? So,
mhm.
um, yeah, I
No,
agree. It's
I
not.
think
It's kind
there's
of
there
unacceptable.
absolutely nowadays. I think the big events need to have roofs. I mean, you just can't
Mm-hmm.
have these players, especially with Toronto and Cincinnati, like or Canada in general, and Cincinnati. Cincinnati was starting on a Sunday. Like the final is happening in Canada while round one
And
is
it's
happening in
already
Cincinnati. I
started.
mean, come on. I mean, that's insane. How do you expect these players to be consistently
Right.
at a good level, right? For back-to-back tournaments,
Yeah.
especially when you don't have any roofs and then it's raining all week. And you know, I just think the scheduling could be a lot better. They can start things a little earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Iga talking about this a little bit in a press conference, and
Mm-hmm.
she was saying how, like, yeah, we understand the broadcasters and all that, but she was saying that she was asking for numbers, saying that people actually watch these really late matches and all that, and
Yeah.
she's still waiting for them. Like, she doesn't know if people are watching, and you can see some of the stands are really empty
Yeah. It doesn't
for
look good
these,
for the whole tournament, right?
Yeah, it
And
doesn't.
and well, I can't remember, but someone looked like they almost got injured, right? Or did get
Yeah,
injured. Yeah. It's not great for the players either. So it's almost like a lose lose, I think. I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
And then the
Yeah,
problem is that you get a compromised player like Samsonova.
and a
And actually,
tough final.
first, Rybakina was compromised
Right.
in her semifinal. So
Cuz
Rybakina
she was
played,
playing late in the night the night
yeah,
before.
she played Samsonova in the semifinal the same day as the final, and that was because she had rain delay in the day before, and then the day before that she had to play until 3 a.m. And what we got to, they actually started playing at midnight. I mean,
Mhm.
that's just unacceptable. You can't start at midnight. That's ridiculous. So I don't know like what they need to do to fix this, but they need to do something because
Yeah.
I mean, Rebecca I just said, like she was saying in her press conference that, this completely derailed my chances at all.
Mhm.
Like she was destroyed after that 3 a.m. match that ended at 3 a.m.
Yeah, how do you recover?
And how do you recover for that? And
And
then you had to wait all day,
and played
not
possibly
knowing if you're
two
gonna
more
play.
matches to make the
Yeah.
tournament. Yeah.
Then the next day you got to play the final, the semifinal, same day as the final, and then Samsonova, she had 2 days where she had to play two matches. Like
Mhm.
how crazy is that? Like so I just feel super bad, especially Samsonova. Like she's a player that is so like
Mhm.
go big or go home with her
Yeah,
brand of
and she's
tennis.
playing well. Yeah.
It's so it was
Yeah.
yeah it was just a unfair fight. And Pegula, like she even said that in the press conference, like I wish that it was a more fair
Yeah.
fight. And even in her reaction to winning the title, you know it was a little bit subdued, and
Right.
she felt bad for Samsonova. So but in the end, honestly, I think this is still a significant result for
Pagula.
Pegula,
Yeah.
not necessarily because of the title itself, but I think that title also helps. But the fact that she beat Iga in this big event and in the virtual final, essentially, that win over Iga was important for her, especially because she had to come back from a breakdown in the third set and recover. And she actually won a bunch of points and like to end the match. I think it was like
Mhm.
16 of the last 19 or 20 points or something like that. She went on a run to get the break back and then also go up a break and ended up serving it out. So it was important for her to get this win for her belief, right? And
Mhm.
honestly, she's beaten all of the big players. Like I think she has a winning record against
A lot of them. Yeah.
Rybakina and Sabalenka, who are the two other big three members, I guess, on the women's side. And now she's beaten Iga twice this year. And the first one was in like that team event. So maybe some people didn't take that one seriously, but this is a real event,
Yeah.
real result. So great, great for her. What I love about Pegula's game is that she takes the ball really early. She's very similar to me, like Tommy Paul, in the sense
Mhm.
that they take the ball very early and they're very smart with placement of the ball. She's able to move the ball all around the court. She's not afraid to go down the line or cross court. She's just unpredictable. And I like that for her, and she needs that, right? Because she doesn't have, like you said, that explosive power or whatever it is. But she's number four in the world for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's not a fluke that she's number four. I think she demonstrated now. This is her second Masters 1000 too. So she's had
Yeah.
some big results now. And honestly, she is a contender to win at the U.S. Open. I mean,
Oh
obviously,
yeah.
I wouldn't be picking her to beat Iga, Sabalenka or Rybakina in the big match at the U.S. Open. But at this point, I wouldn't be too surprised to see her win them because she's been able to have success against all of them, and I think that's good for her going into the U.S. Open.
Yeah. Yeah. What were your thoughts on Iga's game
I think it
against
was okay.
Pagula?
She was okay. She lost serve a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some of it was honestly due to Pegula herself. Like she was returning really well in the match, and I felt like Iga was playing pretty well for a lot of parts of the match. But there were moments in the match where she was just making too many unforced errors.
Mm-hmm.
But that's Iga. I mean, she just plays aggressive the whole time. Like that's what she does, and for the most part, it always works.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I do think she needs to add a little bit something to her game to not have these kind of upsets.
Yeah.
Because when she loses, it looks like it's just that she looks a little bit one dimensional, a little bit one speed. Um, it's kind of like when Sinner loses, when he's like just making errors, like after getting too many balls, get back and play, and he just hits too many errors. It looks a little bit like that, fantastic level until it starts misfiring. Um, and it doesn't happen that often, right? Both Sinner and Iga are really highly ranked for a reason. But I do think that's an area of improvement that Iga can bring to her game, right? Just a little bit more touch in her game, a little bit more, um, I don't know, like just a little bit more point construction, I would say,
Yeah.
um, in a less aggressive sense, right? Trying to hit spots rather than to hit power. She can do a little bit more of that. Uh, that's what I saw in that match, and I think throughout the tournament, she has been, struggling a little bit. She had pretty tough matches against Collins and against Mukova. Now, granted, both of those are really good players on hard courts, or
Mm.
Mukova everywhere really, but Collins on hard courts really good as well. Um, so she had been struggling coming into this, but I think all in all, I like what I saw from Iga better than what she brought last year. Let's just put it that way, where she just got completely hit off the court by I think it was I don't remember if it was Madison Keys in this tournament or in Cincinnati, but she got hit off the court both tournaments,
Mm.
by whoever she lost to. Um, so this is already an improvement. She made the semifinal, and she lost to a really, really good player, and it was a very close match. So less worried about her going into the U.S. Open this time, and she did win the U.S. Open last year. Despite having bad warm-up events, kind of similar
Mm-hmm.
to ours, right? Any thoughts on your side, Haniga?
Yeah, I felt like a little bit she was struggling with maybe the heat or something during this tournament. She didn't look comfortable out there
Yeah,
while
it
playing
did look it did
Pegula.
look pretty hot
It
out
looked,
there.
yeah, it did look hot, but whenever I looked at the temperature, it was like 80. So it wasn't like ridiculously. Maybe on the on court it does get hotter.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but she looked like she was struggling. Sometimes she was putting ice on her thighs and then on her back and her neck. So, but I mean, overall, I think she played well. She just, yeah, Pegula was playing well. I actually thought in that third set, Ego was gonna take it home. I was pretty confident, but I looked at the score. I was like, oh, that was not right.
Yeah. I mean,
So
she was on her way, and then she
yeah,
just lost
yeah,
the last like 16 of 20 points.
yeah. But yeah, overall, um, good tournament for Pegula. I think it was.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Any other thoughts from other players?
I think just one last thing on, well, I guess two last things. One on Sabalenka.
Mm-hmm.
She lost pretty early to Samsonova. Not sure what to think of that. Samsonova can do that to you, honestly. This is the type of player
Mm-hmm.
where you just are gonna
She
get
plays
hit
so really
off the
big.
court
Yeah.
if she's playing well. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's who Samsonova is. Um, she brings that, once or twice every tournament and can really provide upsets that way.
Mm-hmm.
This time she brought the level all the way to the final, which was I think the most impressive thing that she was able to keep that up. Um, Not sure what to read into that loss though. I guess it was close enough that I'm not too worried about it. The other thing is with Rybakina,
It was kind of
I'm
unfair.
I'm a little bit worried about her because
Oh
she's,
yeah.
she's been sick. She had that virus. She
Mm-hmm.
had two issues with viruses during the clay court season, um, and she did have an issue in Wimbledon as well. If I no, not in Wimbledon, in the Roland Garros, I want to say.
Yeah, she
So
took a
she's been
draw
having,
though.
yeah, she's been having like illnesses and pain here and there, injuries that she's been working through. So she just doesn't look all there,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of how she looked in the beginning of the year. So I'm not sure if I'm expecting big things from her moving forward and into this U.S. Open swing. But yeah,
Hmm.
those are my thoughts.
Nice. All right. Should we? What should we talk about next?
Let's move on to Cincinnati.
All right. It's
Let's
already
do it.
started, right? I mean, it
It's
started.
already started. It's already in round three for some of these
All right.
matches, which is
Let's.
kind of crazy.
Yeah. Let's go into. Yeah. Let's start off with the draw. So first seed is Alcaraz, Carlos Alcaraz, and let's just go through the seeded players here. Novak Djokovic is number 2. Comes back to the United States after a long
Yes.
hiatus. And number 3 seed is Daniel Medvedev. Number 4 is Stefanos Tsitsipas. Number 5, Casper Ruud. Number 6, Holger Rune. Number 7, Andrei Rublev. And number 8, Yannick Sinner. And there's a few withdrawals. We have Andy Murray withdrawing from, he had an abdominal strain. I believe it was last, it was actually in the City Open where it
Yeah.
happened. And then he had to withdraw against his match against Sinner, the last tournament. And yeah, let's go through the first quarter.
Any
So
initial thoughts on where the seeds
yeah, these seats.
landed?
Right. Okay. So, I mean, like you said, there's Medvedev, Sinner, and Djokovic on one side.
It's a pretty nasty side of
Yeah.
the draw.
And
And Rune
Rune. Yeah.
is there.
So, and yeah, a hot Monfils too. That's
I would say that
trouble.
my first thought is that Alcaraz is in the much easier side of the
Yes,
draw,
he
at
is.
least in terms of the big names.
Yeah, and Rublev is already out. So, spoiler alert.
Yeah, he is already out. That's
So,
true.
Tsitsipas, Rude, Tiafo,
Which means I have to update my
Borna
quarterfinal
George.
predictions. Actually, there's two that I had to update at this point.
Ooh,
Already,
Tommy Paul is in the same. I have to. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
yeah, that was a big one for me. So yeah,
Yeah,
maybe let's go over what are the quarters.
let's do it.
So in Alcaraz's side, we have, in his same quarter is Casper Ruud,
Mm-hmm.
which I would say is a great draw for his
Amazing.
quarterfinal. Um, and in that same half, the other two top seeds are Tsitsipas and Rublev, and they would face each other in the quarterfinal if that happens, and if Rublev was still there.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not.
Nope.
So I think honestly, this is a terrific draw for Alcaraz, and I would be shocked if he doesn't get to the final from there. Um, but yeah, I think the bottom half, that's where the big trouble lies. So if you look at the bottom half of the draw, the seeds that are there, um, in one of the quarters we have Medvedev and Holger Rune,
Mm-hmm.
which would be a tremendous quarterfinal if it would happen. And then on the other side, an even bigger one, I would say, is
Sinner.
Sinner against Djokovic. So
Yeah.
Djokovic did not play at all in Canada, so we have no idea what kind of form he's going to bring to the hard courts. And if past experience is or recent past experience is anything to go by,
Yeah.
we really shouldn't expect too much from Djokovic, I would think, because he has not really played that well in the events that are not Grand Slams, particularly after the Australian Open, right? Um, but it is hard to predict, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that matchup ends up happening between Sinner and Djokovic, like what to expect. But I think Sinner's going to bring a little bit more confidence to this match, and he's better on hard courts than he is on grass courts. So I think that would be very competitive if it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty interesting one. Um, how about we break down the quarters? We can start with the one that you're displaying right now.
Okay.
So let's start with Djokovic and Sinner, and that side. Any players that stand out to you here? I guess the other seeds here were Taylor Fritz and Cameron Norrie. I believe Cameron Norrie has already lost,
Yes.
right?
Monfils
The
took him out.
Monfils.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's a great result
I
for
mean,
Monfils.
we have Deminor, who's secretly kind of in there.
Yes. So Diminar is there.
Wait, did he
Somehow
win?
he's not ranked. Why is he not
Yeah,
ranked?
how is he not ranked?
That's crazy. Um, so he's not ranked. He's in that section with Djokovic. So that would be an interesting opponent. It would be a good test for Djokovic, given that Diminar has been playing so well recently and it just got to the final in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting to see that matchup to see what the level of Djokovic is. So I think that would give us a little bit more insight in how prepared he would be to face somebody like Fritz or Sinner in the quarters. Um, on Sinner's side, nothing stands out too much apart from the fact that Fritz is there. So that would be an interesting round of 16 match
Yeah.
between those two. I think in the other section, we have in the Rune and Medvedev section a few players to watch there. I had Berrettini as a player to watch, but it looks like Felix was
Took
able
care
to
of him.
actually beat him.
Yeah.
So Felix might be somebody to watch if he can actually find some sort of level. Um, he's been struggling a lot this year, so not expecting too much. But Zverev is somebody else to watch. He's been trying to come back to his best level since that injury, and at times he has shown that. I think
Mm-hmm.
his best result was actually repeating as a semifinalist at Roland Garros, but his results otherwise have been a little up and down, so a little hard to know what would happen there. But Dimitrov is also in that section of note, and Lorenzo Musetti as well. Evans was there, but he already lost after having a great um, result at the City Open at winning that title. He's now lost back to back in the first round in the Masters 1000. So I guess not too much to look into there from Evans. I was actually expecting him to play a lot better
Mm.
in this U.S. Open swing. But yeah, those are the names of note in this section. Anything else you want to add there, or you want to cover the next one?
What are your thoughts on Zverev here?
Yeah, I think Zverev is an interesting one because Zverev, um, at times, he really has shown that level
Mm-hmm.
that got him to being one of the best players in the world. But
He's still
sometimes he
out of
just
that.
looks out
Yeah.
of it,
Yeah.
and it's just every day like it's hard to know which Zverev is going to come up.
Right.
And I think in the section that he's in, he did beat Dimitrov, which is a really good win because Dimitrov actually has been playing well recently,
Mm.
getting pretty far in events. So good win. Um, he probably is going to play Nishioka or Barrera next. I don't know if that match already finalized. But either of those, the great matchup for Zverev, and then he would potentially face Medvedev if Medvedev he
Right.
wins the next match. So do I see him beating Medvedev? I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, Medvedev just lost to Diminar. Do I think Zverev is better than Diminar? At his peak, he is,
Mm,
but is he at his peak?
right.
It's hard to say. I don't know. I think Zverev is an interesting one to look at, but I'm honestly not expecting too much from him in this side.
Yeah. Likewise. Hmm.
Okay, you want to
All
cover
right.
the top section?
Yeah. Let's go to the top half. Up top, we have Alcaraz's section. He has Rude in his quarter, and we also have Tommy Paul, Tiafo, as well as a few other players. Wawrinka's there, and I think he's currently playing um, Jordan Thompson from Australia right now. And yeah, I think
Yes,
this is a.
Alcaraz is playing
I think he.
Thompson.
Yeah, I think he has a good draw here. Um, Better than the bottom half for sure. I think the tricky one here would probably be the Tommy Paul um, face off again, if
Hmm.
that were to happen. Um, and if Rude does get through, which I honestly don't know, if it could be Tiafo or even, I mean, there's a few other players that could make a move here, um, if they're hot. So, but I think Alcaraz should be able to get through this quarter. Uh, yeah. Um, yeah. Any thoughts
Yeah,
on this quarter?
I think I agree with you that the most interesting thing here is that, he could face Tommy Paul pretty fast.
Yeah.
Um, so it would be interesting to see what happens on this different surface. He did better last year in Cincinnati than he did
Mm-hmm.
in Toronto. He got to the quarters.
Do they,
Um,
these courts usually play a little faster, right?
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, I don't think that's better for Alcaraz, honestly,
Mm.
in that matchup with Paul. But to be
Yeah.
fair, Toronto looked very fast this year.
Mm.
And there was a lot of players saying that it was. The only player that said it was slow was Medvedev because he lost. So take that with a grain of salt. But most players were saying that it was pretty fast, and it looked fast to me, at least, in Toronto. Much
Yeah.
faster than it did last year when they were playing in Montreal. So
That's funny. Medvedev really said that.
he did say that. I was like, slow? Like what? I don't
And he's
know what he's talking about.
and he's complaining about like Roland Garros.
Yeah, you know Medvedev.
That's funny.
But I think, yeah, it's going to be an interesting match against Tommy Paul. But honestly, he feels like the biggest danger in this section
Mm-hmm.
for Alcaraz
I
because I
agree.
don't see anybody else in this section being too difficult for him. Um, yeah, I don't. Maybe Jerry, if he can somehow make it through,
Mm.
could be difficult. Um, with his big game, his big serve, big forehand. But I honestly don't see him surviving all the way to the semis. So. Yeah, he could be tough, but I think Tommy Paul is going to be the biggest test for Alcaraz. But I think all in all, this is a pretty good section of the draw for Alcaraz, I would
Mm.
say. Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. Where's Jerry in here?
Jerry is in the Rublev
Oh, okay. So the other
against
half. Okay.
yeah. And I don't know. He might have already
And
played and lost. I haven't seen the results from him.
okay.
But oh, he actually did win. I see here in
The other
your bracket.
quarter.
He beat Sofulin, right? Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, so Jerry, if he can make the semis, could be tough for Alcaraz, but
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't see him getting there. So we shall see.
Hmm.
But yeah, you want to go into predictions?
Yeah, let's do it. I think did we cover that last Tsitsipas?
Oh, we
Rublev?
didn't.
We
Let's
didn't.
let's
Yeah,
cover
yeah.
that before we do
Yeah, yeah,
predictions.
yeah. Let's do
That
that
would probably be
first.
a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. I was wondering where Jerry's in the other quarter. So yeah, so this last quarter we'll go over is Tsitsipas and top seeds. Tsitsipas, Rublev, um, Borna George is in there,
Defending champion.
and Rublev is already out. So yeah, George is. I don't know if George has played yet, but yeah, he's defending champ.
George did
Ben
play. He beat
Shelton's in
Korda.
there. Okay, a good.
He did beat
It's a
Korda.
good win.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and Rusevori beat Rublev already. So, yeah, it's an interesting quarter. I wonder, this Ben Shelton Tsitsipas matchup is interesting to me. But, yeah. Any
Ben
thoughts here?
Shelton and Tsitsipas.
Yeah.
So did Shelton already? He did already win, right?
Who won?
Did did Eubanks or Shelton win?
Oh, Ben Shelton won.
Shelton won.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be an interesting match actually. Because
Yeah.
Shelton played not too bad against Alcaraz.
Right.
Um, so I think that could be an interesting be an interesting battle given that Tsitsipas hasn't really been at his best.
Mm-hmm.
We should say that Tsitsipas actually
Yeah.
dropped
He
pretty
dropped his
much for
level.
a lot in the ranking as well. He went down to like 8 now. So I
Mm.
think depending on what happens in this tournament, he might be seated, in the top 8, like in that range. And he actually got to the final of this event. So
He has
could
a
he
lot of
actually
points
drop
to
more? He
defend.
might, yeah, he might
Yeah.
have more points to defend than most people that are above him. So um, it'll be interesting to see where he falls. But I think that sounds about right to me. Like he was ranked. How has he been ranked
Number
higher
four.
than Sinner and Rune this entire time when he hasn't really won anything?
Yeah.
It's like, how is
Yeah.
that happening? I think he's carrying those points from the Australian Open final.
Yeah.
It's what's carrying him.
Form.
So which is respectable for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like the consistency hasn't been there, and I see Rune and Sinner just every week doing like
Yeah.
going deep in tournaments. It's like when are they gonna pass this guy?
And then look
um,
at Rude. Rude is number 5 too.
well, speaking of that, I guess making the finals of a Grand Slam really does help
Does
with
make a
points.
big help. Yeah. It does
Yeah,
help.
because he did make the finals again at French Open. So um, he also still has the U.S. Open final points. Rude.
That's what's carrying him right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
We'll
that's
see
pretty
what
crazy.
happens to his his
He
rankings.
might plummet
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was about time that um, Sinner and Rune passed Tsitsipas, and I think they also passed Rude now as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see who. Uh, well, actually, Rune passed Rude. Sinner is just below um, Rude. So it's
Mm.
going to be interesting between them who's going to be the fourth seed going into the U.S. Open. That's going to be important
That's gonna be
because
important, right?
if Sinner can land the fourth spot,
That would be
that's
big.
huge for him because he
Yeah.
doesn't have to run into Djokovic or even Alcaraz or
Alcaraz.
Medvedev in the quarterfinal. You can just it would only be in the semis if it
Yeah.
happens.
If he runs
So
into Rude, that'd be okay. Right?
yeah, but it's just
But it's not gonna
one in
happen.
four chance.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So yeah, it would be tough, but yeah, I think that'll be huge for him. It also like he might still like let's say Rune ends up fourth, um, and he might still end in Rune's side. It would still be not a great match to have in the quarterfinal to face Rune. It would be the best of the other three, right?
hmm
But it would still be pretty bad matchup versus if he finishes fourth he could run into Rude or whoever's 5 through 8, right?
Right.
And that
hmm
so it would be important for him if he can do it, so that he doesn't have to like completely get exhausted trying to win all these matches, right, to win the title. So it's gonna be interesting. Let's see what happens in Cincinnati. Let's see how the points shake out. But I think Rune seems to be in the driver's seat because he doesn't really have a ton of points to defend either in
Yeah.
this event, and he's already in the fourth spot. So um, I think he's probably the one that's going to end up fourth. But who knows? Maybe Sinner will win back-to-back tournaments and end up fourth. So that'll
Yeah.
be
Wow, look at you predicting this.
well. I'm just saying. But yeah, this little section here is pretty interesting. I think Tsitsipas against Shelton is pretty fun match. I think
Mhm.
Chorich against Hurkacz would be a good one too. Did
Mhm.
Hurkacz already win his match? I think
I
he
think he
already did.
did.
I want to say,
I want to say
see.
yes.
Yeah, he did win his match.
Yeah.
So Hurkacz against Chorich. I mean, Chorich is defending champion. Hurkacz has been very consistent, especially on the hard courts. That could be a pretty good match.
Mhm.
Murray. Oh, Murray's out already, right? He's not playing.
No,
So
yeah, he's not.
so Jerry could probably come out of there um, in that section and face whoever it would be Rusevori, right? Because he beat
Mhm.
Rublev.
Yeah.
That's interesting as well. I mean, this is a section of good players. I would say like
Yeah.
all these
Solid
players
players.
are solid players.
Yeah.
Nothing like too poor or anything like that, but nothing too spectacular. So all in all, it's an opportunity for one of those guys to really, go pretty far to a semifinal, right? Because I think Tsitsipas is the favorite, but somebody who can be upset based on the level that he's shown.
Mm.
Any
Yeah.
final thoughts before we go to predictions?
Um. No, not too much. I think we should go into them.
Jump right into it. I can go first. So in my quarterfinals, I'll have to make two amendments. So I'll think in a second. I had Rublev and Berrettini making the quarterfinals, and they're both out. Um, but on the top half, I had Alcaraz getting through that match against Tommy Paul and facing Casper Ruud in the quarterfinal. And then I have Hurkacz coming out of that section where Tsitsipas is. I originally had him facing Rublev.
Mm.
Uh, I think I will go ahead and pick Ruusuvuori in this group here. So Ruusuvuori against Hurkacz. One of those is going to be a semifinalist, which is pretty, or could be a semifinalist, which is a pretty great result for either of them. And then in the other side, I had Berrettini coming out of the section where Rune is. Given that he has already lost, I'm just going to go with Rune to make the quarterfinal. I have Medvedev also
Mhm.
coming out of that section, and then Sinner and Djokovic holding seed as well. So for the most part, I picked the seeds except for Tsitsipas. Um, then for semifinals, I have Hurkacz making the
Oh wow.
semifinals against Alcaraz, and
Interesting.
then I have Medvedev making the semifinal against Yannick Sinner. So I have Sinner beating Djokovic mostly because a combination of Sinner has momentum and
Mhm.
Djokovic usually doesn't play as well in the Masters events, recently. So I
This
think
would
he
be a
might,
big confidence booster if he does that. If he
it would
does
be.
win it.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would be an important win for him. So I think Sinner wins that. He'll play Medvedev. Alcaraz against Hurkacz in the semis. I got Alcaraz making the final, beating Hurkacz. Um, and I got Sinner beating
Oh.
Medvedev for the first time.
Okay.
I think it has to happen. I mean, he's playing fantastic. There's no reason why his tennis cannot beat him. He just
Mhm.
gotta make sure to not get exhausted before playing him. I gotta say though, his 0-6 record against Medvedev is a little bit overblown in terms of the significance, because for the most part, the times that they've played each other, Medvedev has just been a better player. Like his center's not. It's like saying that the Medvedev match against Alcaraz in Wimbledon 2 years ago meant anything in their matches now,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Like Alcaraz was not that good yet at that time,
You
and I
think
feel
he's
like
good enough now?
most of Sinner's matches, most of his losses against Medvedev have been when Sinner has still not been that great of a player.
Mm.
He's played twice this year against Medvedev, though, at his current
Mhm.
level, I would say, lost both of those. But he did win the first set in their first match before running out of gas in the final, and it was like a smaller event before the Sunshine Double. And then obviously the Miami match, where honestly he was exhausted too. Like he played that crazy match in humidity with with Alcaraz the night before. Um, I honestly thought that he was a little gassed, so I didn't really take too much into it. I honestly think that he has the level to beat Medvedev right now. So I think he'll do it. I think he'll play the final against
Nice.
Alcaraz. Um, and honestly, I don't see if Alcaraz makes the final and Sinner makes the final, I don't see Sinner winning back-to-back titles, and I don't see
Oh,
Alcaraz not winning back-to-back Masters events. I think Alcaraz does win that. So I'm gonna pick Alcaraz. He also is gonna go through an easier section, so he might be a little bit more fresh than Sinner
I
when
see.
they make the final. So I got Alcaraz winning the title. Let's see if Jordan
Cool.
Thompson doesn't derail my
How is he
like
doing right now?
just minutes after I predicted. Um,
Do we have a live update?
1-1, 1-1 first set, but there's a rain delay. Uh,
Oh, a rain delay. Oh gosh.
there's a rain delay.
That
Uh, let's see if it updated. Oh, it's back on track. It
okay.
is 2-1 Thompson on serve first set at the
Nice.
moment.
Okay.
Also, live update from Felix. He is losing to Manarino. He lost the first set.
Mandarino is really tricky.
So not looking good for Felix there.
Okay.
Your
Um,
turn.
all right. So I'll start from the top. I have actually this is very unlikely, but we'll see how that goes. I have Carlos Alcaraz. So we're gonna start off with the quarters, right?
Quarters.
Yeah, quarters. I have Alcaraz versus Stan Wawrinka.
Not surprised.
um, honestly, it could happen. I think Stan could take out Casper, but I'm really unsure if he can take out Tiafo. It would be spectacular if he could.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, let's see. I mean, he did. Did he win? Did he play Nakashima yet? I don't think so.
I think he did. I think he won that match already.
Oh, that's a good win for him then.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah, that's a good win. So let's see. I have faith in Stan. Let's see how that goes.
He
And
won in three
then
sets.
there
6-3,
you go.
7-6-7, six
He
three.
must be pumped. He's like so ready to take on Tiafo.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
um, and then I have Ben Shelton playing. I'm gonna have to do an audible. I had Danielle Altmaier, but I don't,
He's gone now.
he's gone. So I'm actually gonna pick Rusevori for that other quarter,
Okay.
and then in the bottom half we have Holger Rune playing Medvedev, as well as Yannick Sinner playing Novak. So for the semifinals, I have Carlos Alcaraz beating Stan Wawrinka and Ben Shelton playing Alcaraz there. And in the bottom for the semis, I have Holger Rune beating Medvedev and Yannick Sinner beating Djokovic as well. So, yeah, I thought, if this is the time to beat Medvedev. He looks a little vulnerable, possibly.
Yeah.
Rune could probably take care of him. But I have a feeling it's going to be a close match with Rune and Sinner. But Sinner seems like, I think he's in form. I also have the same final, Alcaraz versus Sinner. And for me, I'm picking Sinner.
Back-to-back
So
Masters 1000.
he can do it.
Hmm.
Yeah. I just hope he doesn't peak. That's my problem. He's going to peak like too
That's why you
early.
got to pick Alcaraz so that he can get that hunger. Like I was so close.
Yeah.
Gotta do it at the U.S. Open.
Yeah. No, I think Sinner. He's playing great tennis. He just let's see how far his body can last if if he can get through all these matches. But
Yeah. I
yeah.
think that is a good thing to point out that, his body has been so much better this year than it was last
Oh
year.
yeah. I mean,
His body last year was just breaking down all
he's
the time.
bulked up too
Um,
quite a
and
bit.
he has bulked up a little bit, even though he still looks like he's incredibly skinny. He's actually added muscle, and I
Mm-hmm.
think he's worked a lot on his fitness, and it really has paid off because he's played a lot. It's not like he's not playing a lot of matches, and
Yeah.
he's stayed healthy for the most part. I think the only time that he really had to take it off, it was just more of a virus or whatever it was, stomach bug or
Mm.
whatever. Um, so I'm really impressed with that. So all in all, I think Sinner is poised for some back-to-back big wins in this tournament. We both are predicting him to beat Djokovic and Medvedev,
It's
so
pretty big.
or in your case, Rune.
For me, Rooney,
Um,
yeah.
but that would still be also a big win.
Huge win. Yeah.
He lost to Rune in the semifinals of Monte Carlo, so that would be a good revenge win there. Yeah, I think this would be a fantastic final. I would love to see that. Honestly, any permutation of Alcaraz against Sinner,
Sorry. It'd
Rune,
be so
or
much fun.
Djokovic in the final would be
Yeah.
amazing. Give me one of those, and I'll be happy. Um, Great, that's awesome. Let's see how poorly our picks are going to turn out at the end. I want to move on to the women's
Let's do it. All
and
right.
then wrap it up.
Let's do this. Okay. Let's go over the seeds here.
Let's
So we
do it.
have Iga is number 1.
Mhm.
Number 2 we have Zabalenka. Number 3 Jessica Pegula. Number 4 Elena Rybakina. Number 5 Ons Jabeur. Number 6 Caroline Garcia. And number 7 Coco Gauff. And number 8 Maria Sakkari. What are your
It's
thoughts
good.
on that? It seems pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's a good top eight.
Yeah, it's a good topic.
I think it makes
Makes
sense to
sense.
me.
Yeah. And I guess there's a withdrawal. Sledovina has a right foot injury, but yeah, otherwise not bad. A lot of star players here.
Yeah,
Um, let's start with the top half here.
let's do it.
Let's go to the quarter. Iga's quarter. We have number 1 seed Iga. In her quarter is Caroline Garcia, and how is she? She's playing right now.
She is playing right now. I was looking now to see if the match was over.
Yeah,
She
and
lost.
oh, to
She's out
Sloane
already.
Stevens.
She lost to Sloane Stevens.
Okay,
Yep,
that's news. And
that is news.
and yeah, we have Kudermetova and Vondrasova as well in that quarter. Um, yeah, it's surprisingly Kudermetova was taken out by no other than our veteran Venus Williams.
Yeah,
So,
how about that
wild
result?
card. um,
It
yeah,
makes
go
it possible for
Venus.
somebody in your background to come back and win a
I
match.
was telling Carlos right before this podcast, like, why doesn't just Federer should just show up like Venus, just come in as a wild card.
Yeah,
I don't mind if he's in Djokovic's quarter, just
just
put him
take him
in
out
there
first
and
round.
then yeah, let him play Djokovic. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be great. First round, Djokovic is not going to see it coming.
Yeah, and Roger's just gonna
He's
saber
gonna,
every
he's
single
gonna
point.
saber his way to the win. Sabering, drop shots.
Yeah,
He's gonna
drop
do more drop
shots,
shots. He's gonna be
more drop
inspired by
shots.
Alcaraz.
Yeah,
He's gonna be like, "Oh, if this kid's doing this, I'm gonna do more of that."
aces,
Yeah.
saber, keep it short, drop shots, all good. Anyways, getting off topic.
But
um,
yeah, great win for Venus,
yeah,
honestly.
great. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. She's like pushing 40 something right now, and so
She's
it's
like
amazing.
43 or 44, I want to
Yeah,
say.
it's amazing, honestly.
Yeah, that's
Um,
incredible.
but yeah, what are your thoughts from this quarter?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty competitive quarter. I mean,
Yeah,
all of these players are pretty dangerous, I would say,
Pova is
in
also
Iga's
dangerous.
side.
Yeah.
Um, I have here that Collins would be the second round opponent, but either Pavlyuchenkova or Collins would be difficult. I'm not sure like who has won. Let me see do you have the winners there? So
It's
we
not
don't have it.
here actually.
It's not updated yet. Okay. So they might be
Let me
playing or
see
scheduled to
actually.
play later.
Mhm.
Collins already won actually. So Collins already won. That would be a very difficult match because she's been playing well. She won three sets
It's not updated.
with um, with Iga in Canada already. Then we
Mhm.
have Kim Win Zhang or Kudermetova or not Kudermetova, I guess it would be Venus Williams, but Kim Win
Yeah.
Zhang. Um, she just won a tournament recently, and she has game. She already took a set from Iga in a Grand Slam in Roland Garros last year, so I think she could be tricky. And we also have Vondrousova, Potapova, and Stevens, right? That just won against Garcia. And you know, the other quarter, the big revelation as well is that Rybakina is in that same half as Iga as well.
Mm.
So I think all the way down, she has a pretty interesting draw. Not as easy as Alcaraz, I would say, in his top half. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, good players in this side.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next quarter. So we have Rybakina and Coco Golf, as well as Bencic and Kvitova. And this is actually, there's some good players here. We have Samsonova, who was pretty hot last week, as well as Pliskova. And yeah,
Yeah,
this is also a pretty tough
I think I
quarter
have a
here.
live update with Sansonova. I think she already lost. Let
Okay.
me let me see if I find it here. Uh,
It's a qualifier too.
or maybe she's playing still. Let's see.
Noskova.
Oh no,
Live
I
update.
miss saw it. I gotta get better at these live updates. I thought I saw her already won the match.
Oh wait, she did
Noskova.
lose today.
Did she? Where is it? I don't see it.
I just googled her. She lost in 3 sets.
To Noskova?
Yeah, to Noskova.
Okay, for some reason I'm not seeing it here in the completed matches. So yeah. So and I wonder honestly, like
If
how
that
much
has
of
that
that,
was from, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it's, yeah, it's less than, yeah, that's not good. Yeah, we should talk about that.
I mean,
Honestly,
she got scheduled to
she
play
got
so
scheduled.
early, right
Yeah,
after playing a
this is
final.
the big problem, right? If you start a a tournament on a Sunday while another Masters 1000 event is finishing up on it on
Yeah, it's
that same
ridiculous.
Sunday.
Like
Did I say Thursday? I said yeah, Sunday on a
Sunday,
Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, on a Sunday. How how do you recover in time for your first round match?
Yeah.
And you had to take a flight over probably.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. I mean,
yeah,
and if you're
yeah.
driving, that's a horrible drive. I
And
mean,
the courts are
regardless.
different. You don't yeah, and you don't even have time to practice on your courts, right? You have to change. Yeah. It's probably playing with different.
And it's also unfortunate also for like
Yeah, it's just
the less ranking you have, the worse it is for you.
yeah, exactly.
Because you don't have buys, so you have to play
Mm-mm.
early. It's not like let's say Alcaraz or whoever it is. I mean, although if Alcaraz would have made the final, he's already playing today. Like, what's going on? I don't know why he's playing today, but
You think
yeah, it's
yeah.
if if his side would have made the if he would have made the final, right? He's playing and he's playing today. Today is what,
Yeah.
Tuesday? Today's Tuesday, right?
Yeah, it's
Today's not Wednesday.
Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday.
Today's
Yeah.
Tuesday.
So it would have been 2 days right after the final, and he's already even with the bye, he's already playing.
Yeah.
You know, he's lucky that he didn't have to. He didn't play. So these
Right.
scheduling things are really rough for these players, honestly. Uh, because having had the two matches in a day twice for Samsonova, and then having to play 2 days later a first round match,
Yeah.
that's crazy stuff,
We gotta talk
honestly.
to Todd Martin. This
Yeah,
term, yeah. This is
something's
we
got to
gotta talk to
happen.
someone. Yeah,
But yeah,
that's
that's
really
unfortunate.
brutal. That's
That
very
that's
brutal.
super that's super brutal. So I'm not surprised that Noskova beat her,
Yeah.
honestly. Um, and in my draw, I didn't even know who the qualifier was when I did the draw,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a qualifier because I just expected her to not be ready for their playing. Ended up being Noskova, who's actually pretty good. Um, so yeah, but in this section, Rybakina and Coco Gauff,
Yeah.
my first thought here is that there's a lot of good players as well here. You got
Kvitova's there too.
Pliskova. Yeah, you got Pliskova, Ostapenko
Yeah,
facing each other in the first round.
that's
Um,
tough first down match.
yeah, and then you have Bencic, who's been playing well all year. We have Kvitova,
Mm-hmm.
who, is always dangerous.
That's
And
right.
um,
Yeah.
and obviously we have Coco Gauff. So pretty competitive section. And the way Rybakina has been looking, I think she's probably going to lose to someone at some point before reaching the semifinal. So a lot of opportunity there for some player. Coco Gauff might be the favorite in this section just because of how well she's played the entire hardcore swing since it started. But there is some opportunity here. There's a bunch of players that I could see
Mm-hmm.
going far. Um, but yeah, want to do the next quarter?
Yeah.
So Zachary against um, Pegula would be the potential quarterfinal. And then the other players that are of interest in this section, I would say probably Mukova for me. Madison Keys, who went very far last year this tournament. I want to say she made the semifinals. Um, but all in all, this section looks a little bit more open for the top seeds to reach their seeds, essentially. Um, I'm always very high on Mukova, so we'll see. I'm always interested to see how well she's gonna play now that she's healthy and she's been having some pretty good
Mm-hmm.
results, particularly on the Grand Slams, and well, particularly in Roland Garros, I should say. Um, so seeing if she can build from that success, she went out early in Wimbledon, and really hasn't been that consistent since then. But she did play Iga pretty tough in Canada, so I'm excited to see if she can do a little bit better here. Um, but yeah, I think all in all, this section seems better for the top seeds. I think less likely we'll get upsets.
Oh yeah. Yep. Sorry, I just noticed something in the next quarter. But yeah,
You
agreed.
wanna cover it?
Sure. Yeah, we have Ons Jabeur number 5, and Zabalenka number 2 in the bottom, and we have Kazatkina as well as Krejcikova. Granted, we should check to see if they've won their matches. Um, but let's, we should mention Caroline
I can tell you right
Wozniacki.
now that Krejcikova already lost.
She already lost, but
Yeah,
okay, that's a tough match against Azarenka, right?
yeah.
So, but Wozniacki makes her comeback, right, in this tournament. Is that correct?
hmm
Yeah, which
Well, no,
was
she made the comeback in the previous
in
one.
the previous tournament. How did she do there?
I think she won a round and then
She won a round.
lost. Who did she
Okay,
lose to? Can't remember who she lost to, but she
we
lost
can
in the next
we
match.
can take a peek.
Yeah,
Let's take a quick peek. Let's see.
let's take a
But yeah,
peek.
this is pretty big though. I mean, Wozniacki, such a good player. Oh, there she is, right here,
Bondrusova.
and she lost to Vondrousova.
Yeah,
Respectfully, I guess.
yeah, not a bad loss.
Yeah, not a bad loss. And whoops, let's go back here. Yeah, so she has maybe I don't know this first round opponent, but I'm
Oh,
sure I have
actually,
to.
I should say that she already lost. I saw already the result.
Dope.
Wozniacki lost to Gracheva. Yeah,
Dope.
live updates.
Okay, okay, great. Yeah, I wish these draws would update, but
Yeah,
yeah, maybe we need to get
I
the
mean the matches
TNNS
are happening like really
live.
recent.
Yeah, yeah, they're
They're happening
today.
live, so
Yeah.
it's tough to keep up with that. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, Kvitova also won her match already.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's appearing in the draw or not, but I see it's not appearing in the draw. So yeah, she won her match already. Let's just give some updates of some of these.
Yeah.
Ostapenko beat Pliskova. Um, Gracheva, like I said, beat Wozniacki. Trevisan beat Pera. Kasakina won her match against Peyton
Oh,
Stearns.
Para lost. Whoops.
Yep,
She just won.
unfortunately
Yeah.
she lost. Buskova won her match. Martic as well. Mulkova won her match against Sedat Maya.
That's amazing.
Vondrusova also won. Those are the biggest updates, I would say.
Mhm.
Vekic beat Jennifer Brady, who's also making a comeback, not from retirement, but just from from a lot of injuries. Um, she had a pretty good semifinal match in one of the slams a few years ago in Osaka. Her level is really good, so I was really looking to see how well she was going to come back because she plays a pretty exciting brand of tennis. But um, unfortunately, she lost a close one to Donna Vekic. Not a bad loss. Vekic is really good this year, so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the big upset that also came here is Bencic losing first round. She also qualifier. Buksa. And then Ons Jabeur won her match against Kalinina.
Yeah, that's a good
Um,
win for her.
Tommy Paul won as well. Borna George, like I said. Stan the Man. Arthur Feast lost his match. Zverev won. I think those are the bigger updates.
Mm-hmm.
And then a live update. Alcaraz is down a break against Thompson.
Oh,
So it's 4-2 in the first set
he's getting warmed up.
for that. And Felix still down a break in the second set, so he's about to lose. Um, love 30 though, might come back.
Okay.
But those are the live updates there.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I think in that section with Jabeur and Sabalenka, I would say that
I want to see that matchup actually.
it also in this section is not as bad for the top seeds. I think they could also hold their seed a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
I think the top half in general on the women's is a little bit tougher than the bottom half, the bottom two
Mm-hmm.
quarters. And I would love, like you said, I would love to see that match between Jabeur and Sabalenka. It was
Mm-hmm.
a great one when it happened in Wimbledon. I'd like to see it again.
Yeah.
Cool. Want to do predictions?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, I can start. So on the women's top half, I have Swiatek making the quarterfinal against Anastasia Potapova. Um, I had Bencic originally. I'm
Ooh, Potapova.
gonna have to change that on the fly. I'm gonna say no, Pliskova lost to Stepanko, right? Yeah, I'm gonna say Stepanko to make the quarterfinal um, against Coco Gauff. I just like how Goff has been playing in this U.S. Open swing. Um, so I think she continues her good form. Bottom half, I got Pegula making this the quarterfinal after a good event in Canada, and I have her playing Mukova.
Oh, nice.
No surprise there. And then in the bottom, I have the two top seeds facing each other. I have Jabeur and I have Sabalenka
Wow.
facing each other there. For semifinals, I got Swiatek beating Potapova, and I got Coco Gauff beating Ostapenko. And then I have Mukova beating Pegula, and Jabeur beating Sabalenka. So,
Ooh,
so I have Mukova against
that's an
Jabeur.
interesting one.
Yeah, Mukova against Jabeur, Swiatek against Coco Gauff. Um, I got Swiatek beating Coco Gauff, and I have Mukova beating Jabeur, and I have Mukova winning the title. So I went
Wow.
big. I went big on
Wow.
Mukova this tournament.
Ooh,
It kind of
that's
played
gotta be
out that way,
interesting.
kind of. Like I like her side of the draw, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And based on who she's facing, Jabeur hasn't been like very healthy recently, and um, just a little inconsistent. So especially after that really bad loss in Wimbledon, so I I kind of like her chances against Jabeur in the semis, should that happen. And then I just don't see her losing two, three very close matches in a row against Iga. I think this
Yeah.
time she probably takes it if that happens. So just ended up being Mukova and then for the chat for the title.
Nice. Yeah, I really want her to do well
Yeah.
in some of these tournaments, and I think she's ready for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. I will
How
go
about your
over.
picks?
Yeah, these are gonna be
Thinking about it?
interesting. I have them down here. Let's see. So I have on the top. I have Iga and Vondrasova.
Okay.
Um, be interesting. Oh wait, yeah, no, she's still there. But I do want to note, I do want to see a Venus versus Ika match,
Ooh,
which
that would be
I kind of want to
interesting.
see that one happen. We'll see, but I don't know if
That
she
would
could
be
get
interesting.
past those matches. We'll see. Um, that's obviously the round before, but and then I have Rybakina and Kvitova in the other quarter, um, as well as, and then I have Mukova playing actually Madison Keys. So Keys, I'm just betting that she's gonna be hot and
She was last
blasting
year.
blasting the ball. So let's see how that goes. And she's won this, I guess, according to my Google searches, she's won this before, possibly. Um, and then on the bottom, I also have to say Ons Jabeur versus Zabalenka. I want to see that matchup. And I have Iga beating Vondrasova, which would be an interesting little bit of, yeah, it'd be good to see that. And then I have Kvitova beating Rybakina, and I have Madison Keys beating Mukova, and Ons Jabeur beating Zabalenka. And for
Nice.
the final, I have Kvitova beating Iga, as well as Madison Keys beating Ons. And for the final, I have Kvitova beating Madison Keys. So
Nice.
this
I
is
am
based.
not very surprised by by this pick.
Hey, she's done well on the hard courts in the past,
She won a
and
Masters this year.
if Cincinnati is fast, I'm betting Keys and Kvitova can make a move if
They
they
actually
play.
faced each other in the semifinals last year. So those
Mm,
those are good
yeah,
picks.
let's see.
Let's see. I mean, Kvitova is the type of player, even in Keys too, that they could either put a stinker or just go ahead and
Yeah,
blast everybody off the
run
court.
up. Yeah.
So it's very hard to predict with them. Um, Live update here. Madison Keys is already down a break in her match to start off. It's still early though.
It's still,
It's still early. And Alcaraz has
I love these live
missed
updates.
7 break chances, Alcaraz, so far,
Oh,
and it's still not able to break. So it is still 4-2 Thompson off a break.
is Thompson serving very well? What's going on there?
He usually serves well, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Something tells me that Alcaraz is just still not at that level.
I have a
We'll
Twitter
see.
update. Carlos Alcaraz doing the wave with the crowd during the rain delay.
Oh,
Yeah,
let's check that out after we're done here.
nice.
I'm also going to catch this match after we're done here.
Yeah,
It's just starting, so good. Hopefully it doesn't
nice.
end too late.
Yeah. All right, let's. Yeah, that kind of wraps up our predictions, huh?
Yeah, there are some predictions, and I think we can wrap up the show as well.
No, let's do it.
We'll do one
Um,
last update before we do the goodbyes. I am going to be at Cincinnati.
there you go.
Uh, I am flying over
Yeah,
there in 2 days, so I'm super excited. I'm going to the semifinals and finals. So the next time we record, I'll give my thoughts on the experience over there, and hopefully I'll be able to catch some great matches.
nice. Yeah, maybe you can also give some live update. I'm just joking.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should try to do that. At
Live
least
from
even
Cincinnati.
if it has to be on my phone,
Yeah, there
I
you
have to
go.
do something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
yeah. I'll
Yeah,
I'll get some clips in there. Cool.
tennis. Yeah, or point by point tennis podcast is going to tournaments. Yeah,
Going to tournaments,
yeah.
little by little,
Hmm.
growing the pod. Okay, you want to wrap it up?
um, actually, do you mind wrapping it up?
Absolutely. Um, yeah, if you like what you hear, everybody, just like and subscribe on YouTube and any of the podcasting platforms. We are on Google Podcasts and Apple
Yep.
Podcasts, Spotify, and all of the major ones. Remember to play in our fantasy uh, tennis predictions competition. You can find information of that in our show notes in every one of our episodes. So you can register there and participate and see if you can beat us. It shouldn't be too difficult because we've been pretty bad this year. So it should be fun. So do
We
please
just heard
join.
our predictions, so
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. You just know we're just gonna pick Sinner, Alcaraz, Mukova and Kvitova, and that's it. That's what we do. So you're probably just gonna beat us every week. But yeah,
it's fun. It's
thanks.
fun.
It is fun, so you should join. So thanks, listeners, for joining us again. And next week we're gonna meet up to recap the results from Cincinnati and start looking ahead to the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll catch you then. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks.
See ya.